capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice. By Brian Hubbard, author of Dune series. What a wonderful quote. If you had asked me to make this TED talk about a decade ago, I'd have started my slides filled with numbers. It's a very deep meaning. It talks about lifelong learning, how lifelong learning is super important for each one of us for the existence. I'm here today to talk a little bit about myself and my journey from being a finance professional to a country head of Pearson India. I qualified in the year 2002 when I was 23-year old. I thought I've conquered the world. I know everything under the sun, under the finance. And I said, I want to have a consulting firm like McKinsey. So I started my consulting firm. About 3 months in, I realized there's tons of things to learn for myself, not just in the professional life, but also as simple as maintaining an office, administrative work, maintaining people, technology. When I just moved from manual bookkeeping to a tally, I learned for a period of time. I built relationship with my customers. I built relationship with my clients, with internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. BPO started booming in the year 2007, 2008. And most of the chartered accountants office became a training center. You get students, they train with you for 3 months, go find a job which pays 3x or 4x, and you can't stop any budding stars. So we hit that roadblock. I decided, let me go to a corporate. I've learned enough in the last 7 years. I know everything. I'll become a CFO. I joined as associate vice president in one of the multinational company, and soon I realized I have a lot more to learn. I had to learn internal stakeholder management, investor relationship, managing employees at large, so many things. I stayed there for 7 years. I every day was a learning. I had an opportunity to learn and qualify myself as a lead auditor for quality management audit. I got an opportunity, the doors opened for me to be an administrative head. I built 3 large offices for them, which helped me to understand planning, designing, execution. I said, okay, now I've learned everything. I know investor management, I know pretty much everything. I'll now go and try all these learnings in another organization. And I joined Pearson India as a head of finance for one vertical. It was like I moved from sea to an ocean. Had a lot more to learn. I didn't know marketing, I didn't know product development, I didn't know the product's life cycle, I didn't know anything. But all I knew was a debit, credit, managing financial statements. What I learned in this 21 years of my journey in being the finance professional, to see the financial statements both as a compliance auditor to a businessman. I learned marketing, I learned product life cycle, I learned so many things. And a couple of years back, I got a offer to say, Vinay, do you want to lead the country? I said, hey, I've learned everything. I want to be a country head. What more do I need? Sorry. I took over and I realized I still have to learn communications, and I still need to learn strategy. I still need to learn external stakeholder management, which is government stakeholders, ministers, officers, so on and so forth. So why am I saying this? Is it's been always a learning for last 25 years of my career, from being a financial professional to being a country head of this organization. Let's spend 2 minutes on how our brain works in terms of learning, and especially when you're learning the new skills. It's not easy. It's not just what we see and it gets transformed into a long-term memory. It's not like what we learned while we started walking, right? So it has 2 strategies that behaves. One is called behavioral strategies. The other one is metacognitive strategy. What is behavioral strategy? We all do it as simple as scheduling time blocks for ourselves, asking insightful questions, arranging the new information that we have got. These are all part of behavioral strategy, and we do it. We do it readily every time. What is metacognitive? Metacognitive is learning through goal setting, learning through mentorship. So those are the things which help you to learn. Metacognitive strategies help the learners to learn the new skill. When I try and sum up my journey of learning, and this is where I stand. Whatever I learned during my college days till I qualified as a chartered accountant, which I would call it a formal education, it's only 10%. The 90% of my learning that has transformed what I am today is because of social learning, because of the experiential learning. Social learning is all about collaboration, working with the teams, and how do we coordinate with the external stakeholders and internal stakeholders. That's given me a learning. The most important learning is hands-on experience. Every day there is a decision to be made. Every day there are certain things we keep learning. And that's where I've learned my 70% of my learning. The world is transforming. And for me, it transformed very fast. 25 years looks big, but it's actually very small. We moved from manual bookkeeping to Tally to SAP, Oracle, ERP, and whatnot. Yesterday, it used to take generations for a transformation. That's now taking only years. Earlier, it used to take years, now it's taking months. Months is becoming days, and days are becoming hours. Just to put an example, Netflix took 3.5 years to get 1 million subscribers. ChatGPT got it in just 5 days. Hold on. Threads app got it in few hours. That's the speed at which the transformation is happening. The skill chasms that we are facing today are of two folds. One, the aging workforce who are experienced are retiring, creating the talent cliff. And on the other side, technology like AI is taking over, and it's expected to reshape almost 65% of the job skills by 2030. In between these two things, every sector is getting disrupted because of technology. Technology itself is getting disrupted by technology. And that's the transformation that's happening. Let's take an example of agentic AI. It's a set of agents, AI agents, which are working independently without any human guidance or intervention. It's just a beginning of automating non-repetitive, knowledge-based work in work professions like customer care service, in the sales support, or even the social care. That's the amount of transformation is happening. And we need to embrace it. We need not fear about it. Social media was one such disruption a few years back. Today it is AI. Tomorrow there can be something more powerful than AI. If we don't embrace it and if we keep fearing, I don't think so the life will go on. The most important thing is adaptability. What is adaptability? Very simple. It is the adaptability is a state which gives you an option where you keep yourself open for new ideas and you keep yourself open for new experiences. It enables us to embrace technologies and changes rather than resisting it. It helps us to get to a creative solutions where the problems are unprecedented. One such example, I would say, and which we have seen, all of us have seen, whoever are there in this room, is during the pandemic. We have seen this happening at home. The teachers and students embraced online learning over in a couple of weeks. I'm not talking about higher education or the college going students. I'm talking about nursery teachers who did not even have to think about creating a PowerPoint or did not have to think about switching on the laptop and getting into a Zoom call. It was professionals or higher education students. But they learned and they continue to learn. Another example which happened during the COVID again is how many of you have heard of hybrid working model in the organizations now? It was never even spoken about in the past. Very few organizations used to speak. But today, hybrid working or working from home is very common in every organization. And people have adapted to it. Organizations have adapted. They know how to manage the productivity and the efficiency of the learners. Learning is for everyone. When I say learning is for everyone, it's a lifelong learning for as a person at every stage of life. As a children, we discover the wonders of the world. But when we come to teens, we try to find the passion. And when we get to professional, we try to pivot a new career. We try to learn something new to be a better. But as we grow older, we try to embrace technologies and challenges. And to be honest, we see this at home again. Our aged parents or grandparents are using smartphones and technology much better than I and you in this room are using. They use UPIs and Paytms of the world to make financial transactions. They're able to connect to their loved ones using technologies at any given point in time. And at the same time, my 9-year-old daughter uses Mondly or Duolingo to learn a new language, which I was never even aware of. And that's the learning that happened. And we have gone through it and we need to go through it. Lastly, cultivating the learning environment. Learning to learn new skills, it is always evident that it will lead to effective and efficient learning. But what it needs, the most important thing, is the successful implementation of it. Let's take an example. Our education system. One common complaint about the education system around is that there is overemphasis on learning to test rather than learning to teach. Our professors or teachers are already burdened, and if they ask us to implement new learning methodologies independently, I don't think so that's possible. What they need is support. What they need is a support from the institution. What they need is a support from the government policies. They need to be backed with curriculum adjustments. They need to have a training programs. When you embed the learning science into the teacher training program, they get used to how to train the brains of the learner and help them to learn things much better. And that's the support we need to give. And it's just one such example. And I love this story of Master Shifu and Kung Fu Panda. Very unique. When I saw this first time, it was just a normal movie with my first son. But when I repeatedly saw it twice or thrice, I realized there's so much of learning happening. The Master Shifu learned, adapted into new style of teaching, which he used to teach for ages to many of the successful students. But he had to teach Kung Fu Panda everything that he knew in a very short span of time to make him a dragon warrior. And Kung Fu Panda was not a normal learner. He needed to learn everything in a short span of time. He did not know exercise. He was quite bulky and healthy. But then he still wanted to learn Kung Fu. And that's what his passion. And that's exactly we need to see what it is. If we have to be us, we need to figure out what we love, what we want to be, and what makes you a you. And I like this and really appreciate this movie. I would want to leave a few thoughts. Lifelong learning is a universal bridge between cultures. Lifelong learning is a universal bridge between perspectives. Lifelong learning is a bridge between generations. If I and you in this room are not learning constantly, I don't think so we can connect with different cultures. We cannot even have a conversation, forget our children, but even with our siblings. We will not be able to have a meaningful conversation if we don't have a lifelong learning as we go along. The call for action today is to plant the seed of transformation. And there's only two things that can happen: you will succeed or you will learn. Thank you.